With 1:20 left on the clock, the second-ranked Indiana Hoosiers stood 99% dead in the water. Down to their final chance, Fernando Mendoza took the field and went to work. Precision pass after precision pass, the Hoosiers carved up 80 yards in 10 plays. Every throw a defiant punch at the impossible. And then, with just 36 seconds left, Indiana lined up for the snap that would decide everything. The difference between the agony of defeat and the thrill of victory. Mendoza takes the snap, pressure crashing in, launches to the back line. Cooper elevates, toe down. Touchdown Hoosiers. The Happy Valley heist is complete. This is the Hoosier Tailgate, and it starts now.
2nd and 17. Mendoza again comes in over the middle and Mendoza sideline throw caught out of bounds. E.J. Williams. Can Penn State hold on? Mendoza over the middle. Oh, he's got it. Mendoza.
Insane catch. Beautiful throw up high where only his guy can get it, and his foot is down.
Mendoza in trouble. It's out. Touchdown. Wow. Omar Cooper. Unbelievable. Give him the Heisman Trophy now.
There's just something about a Gus Johnson touchdown calls that still sends tickling feelings down your spine when you have a game like you had on Saturday where the Indiana Hoosiers went into Happy Valley and came away with a 27-24 victory on last-second heroics by Fernando Mendoza and Omar Cooper. And how about the young man, Mr. Becker, having a day? Filling in for Elijah Surratt. He had himself a day, was the offensive player of the game for the Indiana Hoosiers. But man, oh man, what an exciting game in Happy Valley. What an exciting game in Iowa City. Last second heroics make November the most fun month of the year when you get to the back ends of the schedule. Hello again, everybody. I'm the coach, Shannon Griffith, and welcome to Hoosier Tailgate here on the Hoosier.com. These Indiana Hoosiers just went in and did what elite teams have to do. You have to win games like this in order to go through something that gives you the positive vibes you need, that knowing no matter what, the will to win is stronger than the will to be defeated. And Indiana went in and did that on Saturday. It was unbelievable. Indiana did not play very good as a whole when you're up 20-7 at halftime, or 17-7 at halftime, 20-7 within the first few minutes of the second half, and you let a team come out and find a way to get themselves back into the game. And like I said on Thursday, if Indiana gave any hope to Penn State, it would be a tooth and nail battle till the end, because of Penn State's talent was very capable of playing a game just like they did on Saturday with a starting quarterback that's playing his third game. And in my opinion, when a quarterback is about into his third game of the year starting is when you start seeing marked improvement. And the young man from Penn State did just that. He had a heck of a ball game for Penn State, and Indiana just found a way to win in Happy Valley, one of the most difficult places to play. Indiana never had won there. They finally got that monkey off their back, and more than likely will keep Indiana at number 2 and the polls as it did last night with the AP poll. But just a complete and utter game that will go down in history not just with Indiana folks, but with college football folks as well, because of the catch by Omar Cooper, the throw by Fernando Mendoza. And I got a lot of questions about the last drive, what goes through a coach's mind in those situations, head coach, coordinator, and being in those type of situations before. You're trained because you sit in fall camp, you simulate these situations over and over again on what it is you're going to do with your 2-minute package. What is the primary responsibility? What is the calls that you're going to utilize? Indiana was basically running 4 verticals, and if they saw a high safety, they bend it. And that's what caught the Cooper got on the first one down the field. Nowakowski's big throw, that was the bending route. The throw on the vertical to Charlie Becker on the sideline was off of 4 verts, and the game-winning touchdown essentially was off of a 4 vert concept there when they sent a 0 blitz. And when you're a quarterback and you're staring down with more guys than what you have to block, the only hope you have is that you've got to kind of drift away from where the biggest pressure is coming from, but gain depth. And that's what Fernando did. He got himself in a position where he gained some depth and allowed Omar to get into his route. And then when he threw it, he just had to throw it to a spot. And what you teach is throw it up, where it's going to be a jump ball scenario, because you're going to let it go before he even makes his break. And that's what happened. It was a perfectly placed football. It was a perfectly timed leap by Omar. And at the same time, how does he get his foot in bounds is in itself unexplainable. Other than the fact is, if you saw him, he kind of goes limp in some respects, and he's just focusing, trying to get one in. He probably didn't even know which foot he got in. I mean, that's the truth of the matter. And at the end of the day, there's one thing I do want to say: the official that was the back judge that ended up making that call was in the perfect position as any official could have been in. And if you watched him on video, all he was doing once he felt the catch was made was watching Omar's feet and making sure he got one in. And when he knew that he got one in, he singled it touchdown. And I knew there's no way they were going to overturn that, because there was never going to be any, over big conclusive evidence that was going to make them overturn it. But even in the play, instant replays, you could see him get that left foot in. And it was just a remarkable game. It was a remarkable catch. And these Indiana Hoosiers, I tell you, they have the last couple of weeks, they've in some of these games, they have played with everybody's emotions a little bit. But anyway, we thank you for joining us here wherever you may be joining us from, be it X, YouTube, Facebook, or if you're listening a little bit later on the podcast drop on Spotify or Apple. We appreciate you being here. For those that want to know, there is a link in my bio page on my link tree to all the different affiliates that we are affiliated with, Fanatics being one of them. I put out a tweet yesterday. Fanatics was offering, I think, up to 50% off on certain gear. Whether that is still available or not, I'm not sure, because I think they were just doing it for a 24-hour window. But you may want to check. You can get the store link to the Hoosier Tailgate store with all those links, and you'll be able to populate whether or not that is still on or not. But want to thank everyone who's joining us here this evening. Just want to make sure we get a couple questions. Just think of Mendoza's stats. Well, I'd rather not be. I'd rather him do that in the course of the game and not the last 2 minutes. But it was a crazy, crazy win. Robert, appreciate you coming by again. What a game. Found a way to win. Absolutely correct. And Michael, thanks for coming. Appreciate you guys being here this evening. And if you are joining us, by all means, if you have a question tonight, by all means, please put it in the comment section of the chat box, whether it's on X or YouTube. And if we can get to it, we definitely will. But when you look at this week in college football, there was a lot of crazy that was going on this week. First and foremost, USC utilized a fake punt with a backup quarterback who wore the 80 number, which was the official number of the true kicker, the punter for USC. And he came on the backup quarterback, or one of the backup quarterbacks came on the field with the 80 number on, and USC ran a fake punt. That should have been flagged as an illegal play because of deception. It was not. And the Big Ten kind of read the riot act to USC, and I think they'll probably do something to the officiating crew on that. And whether or not USC informed the officials prior to the game or not, who knows? But it was an interesting dynamic with that game because it was a heck of a ball game between Northwestern and USC on Friday night. And I didn't get to see all of it, but it was a heck of a game nonetheless, won there by USC. College football race and rankings. Well, the Hoosiers dropped to 3 in the college football playoff poll. I think it's an interesting question. In my own opinion, no. In my own opinion, no. I don't think they dropped. I think what people fair to realize, and I was listening to Herb Streak and Galloway this afternoon on their podcast that they just started doing, and they spoke about this specific game and the fact that everybody wants to look at Penn State as like there's some horrible team. And that's not the case at all. If you heard me on Thursday talk about all the players that they had, and I only covered a few of them, they are a very talented football team that had lost 3 games prior to their game to Ohio State by a total of 10 points. This now makes 4 games by 13 total points that they've lost. And they're a very talented team offensively and defensively. So anybody that wants to sit around and start looking at wins and losses and trying to mark like, oh, Penn State's a terrible team. Well, they're not a terrible team. They're a very, very good team. And for any team, let alone be Indiana, go into Happy Valley and come out with a win is a +1 in a lot of people's books. I mean, the fact of the matter that Indiana had a 10-point lead at halftime and, a 13-point lead midway about the 12-minute mark of the third quarter, Indiana had a chance to really pour it on. And for whatever reason, and I think there was glimpses of some of the offense's issues in the first quarter in the first half of the game. Penn State just rose up and just started playing even harder once they got a touchdown under their belt, and it was a new ball game. But Indiana, to win a game like they did, every team needs to go through a game like that, and to do it in a place like Happy Valley, to me, I don't think they lose their ranking spot at number 2. However, it may or may not be something that happens to Indiana when we see the college football rankings come out on Tuesday night. And I don't think they're in jeopardy of even dropping out of the top 4. Maybe they switch places with Texas A&M. I don't know. If I'm a betting man, I'm going to say Indiana holds their number 2 position in that regard. And you never get tired of winning. So, but it wasn't that way. I mean, if they played the way through, oh yeah, I get what you're saying, Michael. Yeah, I agree. I mean, and that's one thing that I think you make a good point. And I've even talked about this. I would like to see them go up tempo more. I would like to see them get into a quote unquote hurry up mode, what we used to call in that type of offense, the spread offense game. You call it NASCAR, where you're going really fast, but you have different speeds. But I do think Indiana needs to explore doing that exact same thing, but more so during the pace of the game, because I do think they got to help the offensive linemen out. And when you go at that clip, it does help the offensive line out because it does tire the defense. It does tire both sides, no question. But it tires the defense a lot more because their guys are rushing and all that stuff. So very good point there. Let's see here. Yeah, Tyler, absolutely. And you can only heal up as best you can in a couple days. That's just the aspect of it. So it's one of those things. Hello there, sir. Appreciate you coming by this evening and being a part of the tailgate. But again, it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out when the college football playoffs are released tomorrow night in that respect. Okay, Big Ten championship game. That was the website. I believe, yeah, this is the website, I think, that you can go get tickets for the Big Ten championship game, and I would go ahead and start getting them. It's a high probability Indiana. It will be in the Big Ten championship against Ohio State there in December. But I would go ahead, if you're planning on going, to try to get some tickets now, because you know as well as I do, Ohio State will definitely try to make that a Ohio State home game. So Indiana fans and the state of Indiana needs to do their part and get half those tickets, because the Ohio State fans just love to try to make it a home game for the Buckeyes, no matter where they play at throughout the year. The other thing is Wisconsin and Indiana this week at home, noon kickoff. Right now, my things that I've been seeing is it's going to be on the Big Ten network with that noon kickoff. So Indiana will be against Wisconsin at noon, senior day there in Memorial Stadium with a kickoff at noon and on the Big Ten network. So just to be ready for that, a noon game and senior day for the seniors. And I know that a lot of these kids that are going to go through senior day have meant a lot to Indiana football, whether they've been here for 4 years or 3 or 2. They've done everything right in regard to Indiana. Let's see here. Okay. But anyway, that game is at noon on Saturday with the Wisconsin Badgers, who had a big win by themselves, knocking off Washington, who was a top 25 ranked team. So Luke Fickell finally found the winning formula in the middle of a snowstorm, basically up there in Madison on Saturday evening, knocking off the Huskies in a hard-fought ball game. And when you're playing outside in the elements like Iowa and Oregon were in a monsoon, and Wisconsin played at Oregon the previous week in a monsoon, and now they play in a snowstorm. They finally got a win this past weekend against Washington, and they actually played pretty good at Oregon a couple weeks ago in that monsoon as well. So again, big week for Indiana. Get ready. And, again, when you get time of year, everybody.
Welcome to the Indiana football postgame show.
I have no idea what's going on here. When you get this time of year with Indiana and stuff, players and such, you're going to get beat up. I mean, it's just the fact of of playing college football at a high level, and you're just not going to get through a year without bumps and bruises. Do I think Indiana, in my opinion, is banged up? It's banged up in their front interior line offensively. And I think it showed some on Saturday because way Penn State was able to really control the line of scrimmage in the second half, offensively speaking, against Penn State's defense. I mean, it was pretty evident that Indiana's offensive line was holding on for dear life in that latter half of that game and found a way on that last minute drive to rise to the occasion and stuff. But let's hear from Coach Signetti today at his presser and get some of his feelings now that he's had time to recover.
All right. Looking forward to getting back home Saturday after being on the road the last 2 weeks, 12 o'clock against Wisconsin, coming off top 25 win at home against Washington. They're a tough, gritty football team. I mean, they've had a murderer's row schedule. Ohio State, Oregon, Michigan, Iowa, Washington, Alabama, you name it. And, you know, I got a lot of respect for Coach Fickle. He's a proven winner. You know, the guy's had his starting quarterback available about 30% of the time during his tenure at Wisconsin. That's tough duty. So I think we need to understand that we're going to get everybody's best shot. You know, we're not sneaking up on anyone anymore. We got Iowa's best shot at Iowa. We got Penn State's best shot at Penn State. You know, Oregon was obviously a big game on the road, and we'll get Wisconsin's best shot. So we got to have a good week of preparation. So open it up for questions.
Yeah, Kurt, what went into starting Zen on the offensive line, and do you have kind of a more firm timeline for Drew Evans' return?
Yeah. You know, Zen got dinged up in practice a little bit, so Johnny got more work. And Zen's was able to play in the game, but didn't get the reps during the week. So, and Johnny played well. Drew Evans will be a few weeks yet.
I guess to follow up on that, just more broadly, just how did you evaluate, particularly pass protection? I know that Penn State defensive front maybe hasn't been as productive as it was expected to be, but there are NFL prospects there. Did you kind of see some things that you feel like you want to get cleaned up in terms of pass pro in particular?
Well, I mean, look, you always want a clean pocket when you throw the ball. Now, that's not going to happen when you throw it 30-plus times. But, you know, they did put pressure on our quarterback. They do have some NFL-type guys up front. There were a number of clean pockets as well. Occasionally he got hit on a zero house blitz where they were bringing one more rusher and we could block, and that's going to happen. But you're always looking to improve your protection.
Against the performance you're getting from Hardy, I mean, obviously he's played well all year, but in particular Saturday's game and what you're getting from him.
He's been a very consistent player. All three of those linebackers have been playmakers. Isaiah Jones has stepped up big time. Fisher was defensive player of the game. And Hardy has been very consistent and good special teams guy as well. So he's got a great future.
Kurt, is there things that people missed with Mendoza? He was the number 134 quarterback coming out of high school.
Yeah.
There are things that were there then that people didn't see, and then how much was the progression when he got to college? I know you've only had him for the year, but
I can't really answer that question because I didn't know who he even was in high school. You know, I became aware of him when we signed his brother, Alberto, at JMU, and then Alberto came with us when we came to Indiana. And, you know, being the film junkie I am, making all the different cut-ups, occasionally I'd see plays from Fernando at Cal, and then when he went in the portal, obviously watched a lot of game tape on him and, you know, just really liked his stuff, you know, the physical quality, all the stuff you see, you know, the quick release to the arm, the mobility. And, you know, he's a great person. He really prepares. He's really smart. And he's developed quite a bit since he's been here. And I've said this a number of times, but I'll say it again. As much as he has improved, he can still improve more. And he's probably taken his biggest step in the pocket in terms of staying calm, going through his progressions, his footwork. And there's still times when you can see that, you know, he needs to clean some things up in the pocket. But, you know, that final drive, we weren't getting much done on offense the previous few drives. He had been hit quite a bit. He got sacked on first down. 2nd and 17, running clock, minute 30, our own 13, no timeouts, right? Wasn't looking real great at that point. And everybody responded, and, it, you know, it always does start with quarterback. And, he stuck a few balls in the seam, made some throws. Our guys made some catches, and, all culminated in the last play. So, it was a great win and a real shot in the arm for our team, who was down and out in a lot of people's minds, and refused to lose and got it done. Say again, I'm sorry. I'd say he can handle about anything. Fernando, yeah, he can climb some tall mountains, but we'll get him a winter jacket. Or we're not allowed to do that, are we? He probably has a good one anyhow that says Indiana on it.
Coach, you mentioned Wisconsin's win over Washington. Really shut them down. They shut down Washington offensively, a good offense. Week before, they gave Oregon fits. What are you seeing from them defensively that could present some problems and some challenges for you guys?
Yeah, they play hard. They play a lot of people up front. They get hats to the ball. Bend, don't break in the secondary. Keep the ball in front of you. Do a good job against the run game. They created turnovers against Washington. And then they got Washington bottled up in the one end zone, and, it was very loud there. And they were having problems with the noise. So, they did a great job. They lost another quarterback in that game. Freshman stepped in. And, to come away with that, they blocked the punt. To come away with the win under those circumstances, that was a great win for them.
Coach, it's potentially the final home game or final regular season home game for a lot of guys. But what have guys like Aiden Fisher and Mikhail and some of these seniors meant to building the foundation of the culture that you wanted here?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's the last regular season home game. Really haven't had a chance to think about that very much. I think all the guys really are focused in on, today and what lies ahead. But those guys have been tremendous foundational pieces for the program back at JMU and here at Indiana. They're great players, great people, great leaders. There's a number of them. I doubt that any of them are thinking about the end right now, because everybody understands sort of where we're at and what's possible.
To be a good quarterback and leader, it takes great personality traits. And if you have seen any of Fernando's TV post-game interviews in which he is able to answer and looks directly into the camera and hands out his gratitude to his teammates like a NASCAR veteran. And then if you've seen that, your comments. And then secondly, in yours on Saturday, you seem to get really emotional, very close on the verge to crying almost. Was that the most emotional win you have ever experienced?
Fernando never ceases to amaze me. He's so deep. He's so intelligent. He's such a good and caring, giving person that, he's an A++ every single interview. And he'd be a huge success in anything he decides to do one day when football ends. I mean, he's just a special, unique person. And it's all real. I did get a little choked up there at the end just because I was so proud of our guys, and our backs were against the wall there, and boy, it wasn't looking very good. And in that venue, 105,000 people, and Penn State was playing really well. And let me tell you, Penn State got players. I give them a lot of credit. I got a lot of respect for that program. That was a great place to play. Their fans were awesome. I mean, they had it cranked up, and we found a way to flip the switch and get the momentum back and make the plays. And meant a lot. And I guess what part of it, probably I was thinking back a little bit. My first time in that stadium was 1971, and every 2 years I was in that stadium for about 15, 16 years. And I can tell you there were a lot of long rides home, not many happy rides home. So that one meant a lot. And you think about my journey, right? 10, 15 years ago. Did I ever think I'd lead a team into that stadium? No. Lead a team into that stadium victorious? So I think, but it was mainly centered around, how our guys responded and the challenge and that they.
Coach Signetti on his after the game interview where he did get a little emotional, and I totally get it when you see a team do what they did on Saturday. You're filled with joy in the sense of how proud you are of how the kids battled and did not go down without a fight, and they found a way to win it. And that's the key component to all of this from Saturday. Looking at some scores here, we talked about the Northwestern USC game, 38-17. Indiana Penn State, we know what that one. Ohio State and Purdue, they won that game. Forgive me for I didn't get the score in there for some reason, but they did win handedly in that ball game. Maryland and Rutgers comes away with a big win, 35-20. Maryland took the second play of the game, I think, and 75-yard touchdown by Washington. Then Oregon, Iowa, 18-15. If you saw that game, Moore made a throw in that game that was just unbelievable where he put it. And the wide receiver, I don't even think realized he had caught it because it was so well thrown and got him into field goal range. And then they were able to secure it and get a win under, bad weather conditions there. There's the Wisconsin-Washington score, 13-10. He talked about that. Wisconsin got a blocked punt. Their defense really bottled up Washington. Again, that was in a snowstorm practically most of the game. And then Nebraska went out to the Rose Bowl and got a huge win there on Saturday to beat UCLA 28-21. And we can see by that. And then AP poll that was released on Sunday, you can see Indiana 2 and Oregon moved up a couple spots, as did Notre Dame and Texas. Oklahoma now sits in that 11th spot with number 12 BYU, who got handled pretty good by Texas Tech. They're still in the 12th position, but that would be outside looking in, as did Vanderbilt, got a huge win against Auburn as well. That was a crazy game as well. Who can admit they thought they were finished with a minute and a half left in a long drive? Well, I think 99% felt that way. John, I do. Robert at Renwall saw crashing down, lose the game, Big Ten Shepherd. Yeah. It was a game that, again, you got to have those experiences. And unfortunately, it happened at Penn State, and they did it. That's all that matters, is they found a way to win. It wasn't pretty. It's called winning ugly, but you don't care what the win looks like as long as you've got the W by your name in that regard. Going over to the FPI index and stuff like that, in the Big Ten, as we can see right now, where Indiana essentially is at this moment with the FPI, pretty much the same when you look at that. It may be a little different than it would be when you look at the overall resume, though. Indiana still is really good. I mean, strength of record 2, power FPI 2, and then you got all this off. Strength of schedule, and the remaining strength of schedule is 26 compared to Ohio State's 31. Oregon's 25. Oregon's got a tough road because they still have USC and Michigan to play. That's for sure. Michigan has the 18th overall, Trojans as well, and you can see kind of going down there. Now, he talked about Wisconsin, their strength of schedule, and he mentioned this, was they had one of the hardest schedules of any team in the country. And they played a lot of big-time opponents on the front end. And even when you look at the remaining schedule, it's 11th overall when you look at some of this. So it's kind of interesting where they've been. And then looking at the efficiency aspect, Indiana did go to number 2 there. It's just 2/10 of a point behind Ohio State. But you can kind of see some of this stuff here. when it comes down to it. And I don't know if I can pull up. Yeah, this always does it to me, where I try to get the overall one, and I just can't do it to see how the FPI plays out on all that. But again, we'll find out tomorrow night around 8:00 where Indiana stands with all that. And then, of course, the Big Ten standings right now. Indiana, being that they're 7-0, would be in first place just by the matter of number of wins in that category. When you look at this category here, this Ohio State defense, man, it's real. And they've only given up 49 points overall thus far, and 65 overall in the season. So they are legit in that respect. When you think about it, Wisconsin, of course, will be down here at the bottom and everything. We'll take a closer look at them on Thursday, but you kind of see where Indiana, Ohio State, and that's what I said. I do think it's pretty safe to say that those guys will be playing for the Big Ten championship here in about three weeks or so. There in the Lucas Oil Stadium when we get to that part of the year. Let's see. Well, they're always, here's the thing. And again, you can let whatever that speak for itself with Ohio State fans or however you want to look at it. But at the end of the day, Indiana's only done this for 17 games or so. You know what I mean? Not even 2 years. And you're talking about Ohio State program that's just deep in tradition. And so they're always going to look at anyone that tries to threaten their throne as being below them. And that's just the way it is. I mean, Indiana is captured college football by storm. Anybody can beat anybody on any given Saturday. And Indiana will have their chance to do that and see where they stack up against this Ohio State team. But I'll say this, Ohio State is really good. They got a really good young quarterback. He made a throw against Purdue that was just, I'm still marveled at it, to Jeremiah Smith. And they didn't have Tate against Purdue. He was out with an injury. So good defense, good offense. Hey, they're good. They're good. And their fans can pound their chest as much as they want to, because right now they're riding high in being the overall number 1 ranked team in the country. So we'll see. I mean, yeah, I would agree with Brian's assessment there. I don't think they have the running game that they've accustomed to have in the past. But they got 2 receivers, man, that I'm not quite sure if you need one when you got those guys. Those guys are hard to cover. They're big, they're strong, they're fast, and all that in between. So we'll see what all happens with that on Saturday. Hey, we're going to take a quick break, going to hear from Academy, and then we'll be right back to finish up with a little bit of some of the stats from Saturday's game, as well as Coach Griff's video room, right after this word.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets. You ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors? Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet.
All right, looking back here at the Hoosier Tailgate, thanks for being here tonight, and want to go back and look at some of these stats and things of that nature. I said this morning, IU hasn't beaten Ohio State in almost 40 years, so it's understandable that they believe they're better. Well, yeah, I mean, again, it goes to show that they've had 100 years of tradition and success, and Indiana is the new baby on the block. And, they can pound their chest all they want. We'll find out. I mean, that's what you play the game for. And it can happen on any given Saturday, irregardless of where it's at. And we'll find out. And they're going to be two good teams playing in the Big Ten championship. That's for sure. Saturday's stats, and you can see here, Indiana offensively just was not very good overall. Fernando had a 218 yards. He was 19 of 30. And Grunkemeyer, he completed 71% of his passes on the day for 219 yards. You can see how close statistically both these teams were. So, you look at that ball game and you think, okay, well, why is, Penn State was able to find a little bit of rhythm in that ball game, enough that they were able to mount a comeback. But Indiana's offense was the problem. It wasn't Indiana's defense. If you really look at Indiana's defense for what they did in that ball game, holding a team to 336 yards on the day, pretty darn good when you overall look at it. And then when you look at the third downs, you can see why. Indiana was only 42% on third downs, one of their worst performances of the season. Penn State was at 53%. Most of that was in the second half. But Indiana just had no efficiency on first and second down. They were so inconsistent on the normal down Saturdays, is as bad as I've seen them all year when from an inconsistency standpoint, that they just got themselves behind the eight ball on third downs. Red zone scores, they did do good there. They had 5 of 5 and in that respect. And overall, you can see points off of turnovers. Indiana had 7, but Penn State had 10 points off of turnovers. Time of possession about the same. So again, Indiana, offensively speaking, just wasn't very good on Saturday. It had a lot to do with Penn State. You got to tip your cap to them and their defense, and they have a great defensive coordinator in Jim Knowles. They got great players. I told you the Sutton kid's a beast. He played like it. We talked about their linebackers. DeLuca was one of them. He was making plays. I mean, they are a bona fide big-time team. And they yeah, sorry about that, Robert. I got a little hesitant today of getting everything done. A busy day for me, so I apologize about the titles and stuff, but sometimes this old man doesn't look correctly all the time when it comes to that, so I appreciate that. But this team was, they were they were opportunistic, in that respect. Let's see a question here. Yeah, the 60-yard run, that was their biggest run of the day. So if you take that run off the board, Indiana's defense really bottled them up in the run game. The umpire did get in the way on that run. There's no question about it. And we may have a chance to look at some of that. But Indiana overall was just struggling offensively for the better part of the day. And it was one of those things that, Indiana, let's see here. Indiana just didn't, for whatever reason, they just were struggling against this 4. And again, when you're facing a defensive line like you're doing against Penn State, Oregon's of the world. Now, Oregon, Indiana did pretty good against offensively, but Iowa, they struggled against Iowa the same way. This is where the comment earlier about, no, Robert, I get you, brother. I'm with you, my man. This is what, somebody brought up earlier about the 2-minute offense. And that's what I think Indiana needs to have, some up-tempo stuff against these type of teams, because they're not going to knock people off the ball. They still don't do that consistently enough. And I think by going up tempo, that may help them. The other thing that they've missed in their game, and I've been saying it for 2 weeks, is they have not ran a tailback screen hardly at all. And when you're facing these type of defenses that are just pinning their ears back and coming at you, you got to help the offensive line too. You got to help the offensive line by throwing some screens because they're just pinning their ears back. And Indiana has not done that. And I think they would have benefited by that on Saturday. If they would have done it when they got that second half turnover, that was the time they should have ran a tailback screen, because I think they would have caught Penn State and maybe have got a touchdown out of it. But that's me just being a armchair quarterback in that respect. So, but let's head over to the coach's video room here and see what we can get going. This is, again, some of the game from Saturday. There's a lot of clips here. I'm going to let a lot of them roll for the most part. Let's see if I can, whoops. Let's see if I can blow this up more, but it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to here. Okay. When you look at this is Indiana's 7-7 already, but this is a big run on 3rd and 6 by Black. This kid, I'm telling you, he just does. I mean, he is a tough running son of a gun. Hemby is too. This is the first throw in the first half that they finally play actioned him and went deep. And you can see that Penn State was going to play man against Indiana. This is what we talked about on Thursday. They were going to play man for man because they felt they were better outside than Indiana was. And they were going to stack the box to get that 8th guy in the box. And, or in this case, 7th guy, because it's one back, and be able to outnumber you. But this is what you have to do against that. You have to throw it over the top. Now, the right guard, or the left guard here, is the young pup. That's 3rd team on the depth chart right here. You can watch him. This is a great job. They're pulling like a boot and getting the protection, but watch the young pup get a big block here, because he was able to scan and keep him off Mendoza, and Charlie B with a big catch down the side in the center of the field. That was big time play. Now, this is a play that Indiana was running to try to catch Penn State in a blitz type of scenario. They're going to take Hemby here, and they're going to wheel him here and try to get him up the sideline. And he's going to run a vert, and he's going to kind of try to run a post route and take 2. And then Omar Cooper comes streaking, and they cover it pretty good. And then Fernando does a great job here. This is great protection. See Hemby going up the sideline there. And a good job there by EJ, and they get in the end zone. So that was a good decision here by Fernando. But they went ahead and tried to double Williams, both the corner and the safety. This guy here was going to double with the X. These guys were going to double that. And the backer has to take the back. And this is why it turns into quarterback draw. So they had a good game plan as far as routes and stuff that Indiana likes to run with what they did with it all. Here's a good run again by Black, where he gets a big run on 2nd and 3. That kid, I love that kid. Hemby does a great job there, stepping up, taking on the backer who's blitzing here. They're kind of running a zone fire blitz. And Fernando, I think he was thinking at first he was going to take EJ on a one-on, into the boundary, but he's running a stop route, and it's probably what they're trying to run there is a stick route. But this is what happens when it's not there and he doesn't like it. You don't have time now. He should be throwing this ball over his head out of bounds and not taking this sack. See, he's trying to do too much there, even though the pocket's collapsing on him. If he would have just thrown it over his head out of bounds, he'd have been better off in that scenario there. This is a great throw to Becker. They're one-on-one again, and you can see them. They're bringing their heat now. They're man across with a free safety deep with this one here. And again, good job by the back picking up. They kept Chip Nowakowski, and then a great throw here by Fernando. And I initially thought Beck got in, and I think what happened was the DB grabbed his arm right there to keep him from trying to extend the ball over. But a play later, he went in for the score. Let's see here. Okay, here's the interception that Fernando throws here. Now, there's two reads here if you watch this. And I can't see if I can get it back here. Okay. What you're going to get here is EJ's running a corner route. Okay. Nowakowski's coming out here arcing, and he's going to be a blocker for the running back on a flare screen. Okay. And then I think Charlie's running a man route on the backside. Let's see here. Yeah, he's kind of running a modified slant route right in that void. But Mendoza decides to stay. He takes a peek at Charlie first. Right there, you see it. But he sees Sutton getting depth. So now he's readjusting over here. Now, he should have kicked this ball outside here to Kalon. Or we saw him rip this throw against Maryland a week ago, but that is also a tight window. But here's the problem. You can never go to the corner route late. See, if he was going to throw the corner, now's the time to throw it. He's got to trust it and throw it on the boundary up here, but he doesn't. He takes more time, which allows the safety to recover. Can you see the safety here? Watch him. If he throws it now, the safety's not going to make the play at all. But what he ends up doing here is it goes late, and the safety reads his eyes, and it's all over. The ball's late. So that, in a lot of respects, was on Fernando because he was too late with the ball. If he'd thrown it where I showed you he could throw it, that he'd have been better off in that situation. Okay. Defensively, watch some clips here, then I'm going to show the last minute. This was a great call on 4th and 1. You know, I'm sure Penn State had a big percentage. They would run it here, and they decided to run a little sneak screen or sneak pass, and they were able to convert on 4th down. So tip your hat to them there, getting the first down. This was a great play by Daly. He was shot out of a cannon. Holy smokes. They had no choice, no prayer on that one. That was a huge play there because Indiana, here it is. He almost caused the fumble there. Just awesome play by that kid. Here's the 3rd and 10. Indiana decides to play. They're showing 2. Okay. And at the snap of the ball, they're going to rotate to basically man free. And they're going to bring 5 guys on pressure. Now, what happens is Penn State does a great job of protecting here, and he's got too long of a time to get rid of a ball. And man, you can't stay on him this much. And the receiver at the top does a great job on a route because he's selling the streak there. You can see Sharp's hips turn right there. He starts turning these hips. And now he's beat because that guy's going to run a dig. And Grunkmeyer steps in and rips it. And that's that Pena kid from Syracuse. Very good. Very great play by Lewis Moore there, trying to keep it out of the end zone. This is a play that Indiana had trouble with all day. And Indiana actually ran this play against Oregon where they're just basically blocking back all the way back and trying to get, you know, it's like a zone concept, ISO, and they were able to get it in the end zone. They really did a great job of collapsing things. Here is the second half, 3rd and 8 turnover. Great job by Sharp. He twists his Creighton Allen's knee, and that's what led to the fumble. And he gave it up. And then here is the first play of the second half. Indiana does a great job getting a tip here. And the interception. And this is the one Indiana really needed to get a touchdown here. It was the defense held them to 3, and they were able to do that in a situation like that. And that was the one I said, I think if they would have ran a screen, they would have been better off in that situation. Let's go back here. All right, here is the final drive. Penn State is kind of playing like a 2 robber, I think, for most part. This time they go to cover 1 and play man with the backer playing kind of a rat. And this is after the sack on the first play, but this is a great throw. This is a bender route concept, and Fernando makes a great throw here in the hole and hits Coop. So that was a great job there. That was on 2nd and 17, gets the first down. Now Indiana comes out in a 3-by-1 look. Penn State again goes to what we call a 1 rob, where you see this guy here. He's sitting in the robber position, and he's just looking at the quarterback's eyes. And Fernando does the right thing here. You go 1-on-1 here at the top because of the coverage. He sees soft coverage right now in all this, and so he's going to take that outcut because it's a give-me ball. He does a great job here, setting his feet and ripping it. EJ does a great job of getting out of bounds. So now you're back to 2nd and 10 here. Indiana spiked it, no timeouts. And again, as a coordinator in this moment where you're at now, you've kept in your mind what has gone right on this drive. So they've been running the 4 verts out of this set, 3-by-1 out route to the X. But now Penn State changes their coverage. So now they're going to go to kind of a loose 2, and it's almost like a Tampa 2 because that guy's going to sit right in the middle of the field and read the eyes of the quarterback. And so this is where Fernando's eye discipline helps out. Watch what happens to this guy because Fernando holds him with his eyes right there. He's thinking, I'm going to cheat this way to Cooper and not worry about Nowakowski. And what he does is looks him off and rips it to Nowakowski right in the hole. Boom. Great throw. That is textbook perfect 4 vertical concept that Indiana ran there to perfection. And it was great by Mendoza and what he did with his eye discipline there. Oops, I must have went back 1. What'd I do? I really went back. Holy cow, I got overly excited, man. So that's the catch by Nowakowski. Oops. Let's see what we got here next. Okay, now it's, again, 1st and 10. Penn State, I think I don't know what Indiana did here. This may be 2nd and 10. They may have the graphic wrong here, but I think this is a catch by Charlie. Again, they're playing a 2-man look, but it's really cover 1. Man. He's free in the center field. So Indiana, they're going 4 verts again. And he decides to throw it outside here. He could have had stays there at the top running a kind of a bending route, but he does a good job of just placing this on the boundary in the hole. Becker makes a hell of a play, man. I don't know how that kid even made that catch. It was unbelievable. Now, here's the touchdown. Indiana brings in Nowakowski. So they're going to block 7 for 7, I think. And so they've got 8 up. in this picture. Now, what would have been nice to see Indiana do here is this would have been a good place to run their slant because the way this guy was playing. But you know, as I do, Indiana was going to run him on the one-man route. He's kind of running a bender route there. But watch Fernando. He's going to catch it, but he's got to retreat enough to give Coop enough time to get into his route because he knows he's got zero blitz. There's nobody in center field but the umpire. So that is the key component here. So right there, it's looking bad. And you can see he's got himself back a good 7-8 yards. Coop is just now at the top of his route. And I'm not sure what the DB's looking at here because he's in man, but he's watching the quarterback. He's got his eyes in the backfield instead of on Coop. And this is the throw and the catch. Just a tremendous, unbelievable throw, Heisman moment, anything you want to call it, guys. That was a big time throw under pressure by Mr. Mendoza, and kind of a textbook of how they ran their 2-minute offense. And like I said, these are things that they would have practiced in camp. They would have put themselves in situations, ball on the, where they're at here, what they're going to do. They decided to go with 7 protectors because they knew they were going to have an 8-man blitz and tell Fernando, you've got 1, we'll get the other 7, but you got to get the ball off. And he did. It was a exciting and a thrilling win for Indiana. And just the way that happened was poetic in some respects. But you give credit where credit's due. Penn State, as a football team, played their hearts out. I think Terry Smith has done a great job trying to recenter that group of kids. And they got some great kids. They got some great players. That Sutton kid is a man, and he is a big-time player. He's going to be a first-round draft pick, I guarantee you. And he's going to make a lot of money because he's big and he's strong, and he could cause a lot of problems. But for Indiana, again, the will to win and not being denied, you cannot deny it. So it's a great win. It's the 24-hour rule. We forget about it after this game and work our sights towards Wisconsin. Join me on Thursday. We'll have that breakdown of Wisconsin. We'll talk about Luke Fickell and his Badgers and what have they been doing as he's been under fire all year long. He just got a vote of confidence from his AD that he will be back next season, and they found a way to get a win Saturday against the 23rd ranked team in the country, the Washington Huskies, and at Camp Randall. So big win for them. They're coming here on Senior Day. It's another bullseye for Indiana. They've got that on their chest, and they're going to get the Badgers A game, but we'll break it down on Thursday. Remember, I'll be with Jim Coyle on Thursday morning, Thursday at on YouTube. So join us there as well as we talk about the game. And of course, on Friday, we'll have Coach Griff's primer before the Wisconsin game. We'll give you that information at the appropriate time. But for now, I'm the coach, Shannon Griffith. You've been watching Hoosier Tailgate right here on thehoosier.com. Good night, everybody.